You talk about women hungry to just be in the presence of God. You talk about speakers who came purposefully, intentionally to pour into the women. We were blessed from the very beginning. Welcome to the Authentically You podcast, where real conversations lead to real growth. Here I am again, Dr. Brenda Alton, and I just came on for a brief podcast because I had a tremendous week last week, and I want to share it with you. It was so amazing. First of all, I had the opportunity to be awarded the YWCA Woman of Excellence, the Carolyn L. Smith Legacy Award. And it was a tribute to women of excellence. And what an amazing evening. And not only that, I received this beautiful placard. And the main thing that was wonderful about it is how Mary Quinn introduced me during that time. And it brought tears to my eyes. And then I had the opportunity to provide my acceptance speech. And so after I gave my acceptance speech, and I don't know about you, but whenever someone gives you an award, do you ever think about its purpose? And for me, I began to think about the purpose. I couldn't write an acceptance speech without thinking about, why is this happening to me? Why was I selected? And as I began to look at the background, the history of Carolyn L. Smith, it was really an encouragement to me about my desires to be a very, I would say, a prosperous, but more so a very influential person in the lives of others, especially those who are struggling, those who don't have, those that are marginalized, those that are at the bottom of the barrel, trying every day and making progress and then feeling like they just don't get that opportunity for breakthrough. And when I looked at the work that Carolyn L. Smith did, I felt like that was a vote of confidence for myself to keep moving forward, to be this outstanding entrepreneur who will eventually be able to be this wonderful philanthropist and be able to give back to the community like I really desire to give back. And so when I was working on this acceptance speech, I began to think of so many things. And one of the members of my board of BMA Resources LLC, they shared with me that my speech should be shared, and she encouraged me to share it on this podcast. So I want to share it, but I want to share it in a way to encourage others and why I selected the phrases that I selected. And so I wrote, "Thank you to the YWCA of Harrisburg for this extraordinary honor and for carrying forward the legacy of Carolyn L. Smith, a woman whose life reminds us that justice, compassion, achievements, and dignity are not abstract ideas, but daily practices. I receive this reward or award with deep gratitude and even deeper humility. I've never been motivated by the idea of being remembered as a legend. Legends can feel distant, untouchable, and intimidating. What has always mattered more to me is leaving a legacy, something living, something human, something that continues to move even when I am no longer in the room. A legacy is not built in grand moments alone. It is built in small, consistent acts, in listening when it would be easier to speak, in choosing courage when silence feels safer, and in believing, especially when the work is hard, that every person deserves to be seen, valued, and supported. The YWCA has long understood this truth. Your mission reminds us that community change does not begin with policies and programs. It begins with people. It begins when we decide that equity is not optional, that compassion is not weakness, and that lifting others is not charity, but responsibility. Any legacy associated with my name is not mine alone. It belongs to mentors who believed in me before I believed in myself. My loving family owns it. They support me and encourage every dream I chase. It belongs to my tribe, colleagues, and community partners who showed up, stayed committed, and refused to look away. And it belongs to the women and families whose strength, resilience, and honesty continue to teach me what leadership really looks like. If I leave anything behind, I hope it is this: that someone felt less alone because I showed up, that someone felt seen because I listened, and that someone felt empowered to try one more time to lead authentically because I made room. Tonight, I accept this award not as a finishing line, but as a reminder to keep choosing purpose over praise, service over status, and legacy over legend. Thank you for this honor. Thank you, Christina and UPMC. Congratulations to the Women of Excellence, class of 2026, and all exceptional women who may not have been nominated but are still recognized. Here's to the strong women. May we know them. May we be them. May we raise them. We're strongest when we cheer each other on. Thank you. So that was my acceptance speech, and it was very well received. And I want you to know that it wasn't just an acceptance speech, but there is so much here that really brings value to why I do what I do. Do you know your why for why you are doing? Do you get up every day understanding why you are putting in the grind? I know that legacy is something that's extremely important. And there's a difference. A quote that I read says that an inheritance is what you leave with people, but a legacy is what you leave in them. Let me say that again. An inheritance is what you leave with people, but a legacy is what you leave in them. And so we want to be motivated not by being able to be on a platform or a grandstand, but what are we leaving in people? Valuable. What is it that we leave with people that allows us to look back and say, I left the room or I left their presence, but the legacy is still there. And legacies are not building grand moments alone, as I said, but it's those one-on-ones, those times with people that you sit and listen to them. It's also being consistent in people's lives. Don't make a promise to people and you don't show up. It's better for you not to even bother with people's emotions. Don't play with people's emotions. If you're going to be there, be consistent in the lives of those that you are reaching out to. And remember, it's wonderful to choose, to help people when it's safe. But when you have to be an advocate for something that is not popular, now you're moving into being a legacy leaver. I want to share also that when we talk about legacy, we're talking about something that's associated with you. It can be associated with your family, your business, and your company, but it also belongs to those whose shoulders you're standing on. And that's why I believe humility comes with those who really carry the weight of legacy, because you remember where you have come from and you look and you see how you can reach back and help others. So I encourage you today to really look back and help others, and also to remember that anything that's associated with your name, make sure it matters, because your name sometimes is the word that's going to get to the ears of the decision makers. Your name may be what that new interview is going to walk in the door before they even see you. I would say protect your name, protect your values, protect your morals, because in these days, that's really where value comes. And so enough about that award, and I am so grateful and honored to be nominated and receive it. But it didn't stop that night. Then the next day, I was grateful that I went to the Empower Her luncheon. Oh my goodness. This was awesome. And All About Me is also about lifting others up and helping others to be seen. And so this was at the Civic Club of Harrisburg, and they were celebrating women leading the change. It was women shaping a sustainable future. And it was beautifully decorated. We heard a keynote address from the National Secretary of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Wendy Johnson. She was phenomenal. She was encouraging, and she left these wisdom nuggets for us to continue to empower other women. And I can't say enough about Mary Grace Majors and how she led the program, and she is the program chair. And she was just so encouraging about each woman that was recognized. And those persons that were recognized was Dee Allen, Keeper of the Flame Award. Dee Allen is such an awesome young woman. She's married, she has children, and she has a business. She's an entrepreneur, and she is just so focused on helping youth and helping those that do not have safe housing. What a tremendous young woman. And then Pastor Veronica Dixon, that's my girl. That's my spiritual daughter. I love her. She got the Spirit of a Woman Award. And, she's doing great things. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about her later. And then Tracy Verano Garrison, the Keeper of the Purse Award. Now, this woman, she talked about how she chose not to have children so that she could help others. I mean, come on. That is such a blessing when you will deny yourself so that you can help others. And she really is a financial guru. So I was connecting to her. I also had the opportunity to be with her at the YWCA, the Women of Excellence night, because she also was a 2026 Excellent Woman of Excellence. So it was wonderful to hear her talk about her passion and how she wants to help those become familiar with finances and how to build for their future. And then, this awesome woman, Phyllis Bennett. I know you know Phyllis Bennett, and if you don't, it doesn't take much to find out about her. She got the Living Legend Award. And what a beautiful woman she is. Now, when I ran for lieutenant governor for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Phyllis was my speech advocate, and she was also my mentor. And she would help me, and we would stand out in the parking lot even before I went into an event. And she said, "Okay, Brenda, do it again. Nope, you sound like you're preaching. Talk to the people." She is so awesome. I love her. We traveled all over the Pennsylvania. And I remember the one time I had to put my car in the shop. And so I got a Mercedes convertible. And Miss Phyllis and I, we were driving to Philly and everywhere else in this convertible. We just had our hair blowing in the wind. But it was good time. And guess what? 2 different generations together. I was getting wisdom from her. She was mentoring me, and I will never forget those times, those valuable times. And then I can't say enough about Miss Katrina Baltimore. She is currently the president. She will be going out, I think, this year. This woman advocates for our community. And I just appreciate her so much. She's always so welcoming, always so kind. So I encourage you, if the Civic Center is having something, please go, because this event was tremendous. And there was another feature that was there. And Sean Ray, she was the featured artist. If you have not seen her artwork, OMG, her work is phenomenal. Support her and help her be able to achieve what she needs to achieve. All right, my week wasn't over. So after I attended the YWCA event, then the next day I attended the Empower Her event. Then I traveled to Sandy Cove in Northeast Maryland. And there I joined the phenomenal Pastor Veronica Dixon from Elevated Life Church. You talk about women hungry to just be in the presence of God. You talk about speakers who came purposefully, intentionally to pour into the women. We were blessed from the very beginning. And there is nothing like getting together with people who have the same mindset. They want to improve their life. They want a better life with Christ. They want a better walk in life. And how do you do that? Sometimes you have to do a retreat and pull away from life and allow life to take a back seat while you pursue what you need. It was an outpouring of the Spirit of God. The worship leaders and the praise team, they sang, we danced, we praised, we prayed, and we encouraged one another. And if you haven't been to Sandy Cove, you need to go to that place. It's beautiful, it's peaceful. And so I was able to be there Thursday and Friday. I was not able to stay on Saturday because then I drove back from Maryland back to Harrisburg, and I joined Penn State University for their We Have a Story to Tell. And it was a dissemination event. Now, hear me really well. We are in a time period where there are a lot of methods for healing brought forth. There's a lot of medicine prescribed. There are a lot of, I would say, treatments being provided, and we are just taking part of it. But we have not taken part of the research that says that this is good for the Black and brown people as well as everybody else. And so no wonder we get a lot of different side effects. But with the Penn State University's PACT, Parent and Children Together, we were able to hear from all the project investigators about the projects that are going on in Harrisburg and surrounding areas. These research projects are blessing our people to take part, get great incentives for taking part, and then we get the information back to show what the outcomes are. And I want to encourage you, if there are research studies happening, if there are clinical trials happening, we need to be able to be a part of it, to be at the table so that the outcomes really reflect who we are and what our needs are. Now, when we talk about the needs of research that Penn State University was doing through PACT, now we're talking about social sciences. So a lot of the surveys that were being asked and tested, they were looking at mental health for our youth, for mothers and babies, looking at fear, looking at the way our youth use their times. And in one of the studies, they gave smartphones for the children and the parents to carry the whole time. Who's giving smartphones out now, right? but it was a way to be able to monitor and get the feedback. This will help us now, but also in our future generations. So please, whenever you see an opportunity to participate, I'm advocating that we get at the table so that we can get the right results. We'll be having some upcoming podcasts regarding some health, mental health, how to strengthen, become mentally well. Also, women, we deal with menopause and hot flashes and night sweats, and there's mood swings. We have someone coming on that we will be able to talk, get some answers. And then for women and babies, that postpartum blues, it's a real thing. And sometimes your family, they don't understand what you're going through. So we want to bring light to that as well. And then because I am a person who has been challenged with lupus, we're going to have a panel discussion of some women that we know in the city of Harrisburg who have been living with lupus, and lupus is a what we call an invisible disease. Now, if I were to pull my sleeves up, you would see all of the scars that I have from lupus, and the fatigue that hits is unbearable some days. And so we want to share some light. We are also connecting with the foundation. That's the National Foundation, to see if we can get more support here in Harrisburg, PA. And I would like you to contact me by you can either email me at info@brendaalton.com, or you can go to the chat and you can put your information there. We want to hear from you that are struggling with any invisible disease, but especially the autoimmune disease, lupus. So come together, let's get together, and let's solve problems together. And also, we want to remember to celebrate each other. Just like I talked about all these wonderful programs I was at last week, I want to tell you, I've had my highs and lows in life. But as the songwriter said, my good days outweigh my bad days, and I won't complain. So I'm grateful just to take a moment to share with you. I hope that you are encouraged today, and I want you to remember that there is somebody who cares about you, and that is me. I may not know you personally, but I certainly pray for those that I don't even know. I'm interested in knowing what your heart is throbbing, what your heart is celebrating. We want you to know that there are people in this world who truly have an ear for the voiceless. And so be encouraged and stay tuned. Don't just subscribe, and let's push Authentically You podcast, because we are having real conversations for real growth. Remember, be authentically you.